It's easy to mistake sushi for safety. Clean counters, white uniforms, a slice of tuna that glows like glass, it all looks pure. But beneath the soy sauce and ceremony, a silent rot spreads through the industry. Corporate sushi chains have turned craftsmanship into chemistry, precision into profit. Fish once handled by masters is now thawed, dyed, and sold by the ton under fluorescent lights. As global supply chains buckle and inflation pressures every kitchen, the shortcuts multiply. What was once a symbol of culture now hides parasites, fraud, and decay. These are the 9 sushi chains you must never trust. Number 1. Yo Sushi. At first glance, Yo Sushi looks like innovation. Bright belts, color-coded plates, and a menu that promises freshness with every pass. But the truth is darker. Beneath the neon polish lies a logistics nightmare disguised as modern dining. The same conveyor system that fascinates customers also moves cross-contaminated plates, uncovered rolls, and warm fish across hours of exposure. The illusion of movement hides the absence of freshness. The rice that circles in front of you may have been cooked that morning, or the morning before. Yo's rapid expansion across the UK, Europe, and the US became its downfall. Growth required replication, not refinement. Former employees described kitchens with broken thermometers, coolers reading well above safe limits, and fish thawed overnight on counters to meet rush demand. In 2022, an inspection report from London flagged one branch for improper cold storage and pests near prep areas. In the US, franchise outlets in Florida and New Jersey faced violations for storing raw tuna and shrimp beside cooked chicken and vegetables. The conveyor belt, meant to symbolize efficiency, became a perfect vector for bacteria. Every plate that passes carries not just food, but microscopic risk. The corporate fix was cosmetic. Add LED lighting, refresh the brand's image. Paint made fresh daily on the glass walls. But the supply chain didn't change. Yo Sushi's salmon is bulk imported, often frozen in Thailand or Norway weeks before service, treated with carbon monoxide to preserve color long after its taste begins to die. The result? Rolls that look flawless under the spotlight but mask the scent of decay. When the economy squeezes margins, the first thing that disappears is refrigeration discipline. The electricity costs too much. Inspectors visit too rarely, and corporate budgets prioritize marketing over maintenance. Customers assume the bright design equals cleanliness. It doesn't. Conveyor restaurants depend on visual distraction. No one notices when avocado browns under glare or when soy containers are refilled from the same unwashed plastic pitchers each night. A system built for automation erases accountability. You can't trace who touched your fish, or when. When collapse hits food logistics, chains like Yo will fall first. Their empire runs on frozen imports, underpaid staff, and mechanical illusion. Sushi should be silence and skill, not spectacle and shortcuts. If you want to protect yourself, learn to read behind the belt. The brighter it shines, the darker the truth behind the counter. Number 2. Sushi Stop. Cheap sushi feels like a victory until you realize what it costs your body. Sushi Stop, with its neon signs and endless $3 plates, thrives on that illusion. Walk into any of its Los Angeles or San Diego locations, and the promise is simple: fast, affordable, authentic. But authenticity vanishes the moment you step past the counter. Behind the cheerful greetings and clattering chopsticks, there's a system engineered for survival, not safety. Los Angeles County inspection records have told the story for years. Violations for cockroach infestations, unlabeled seafood, and improper thawing have plagued multiple locations since 2020. A report from the Westwood branch described fish stored directly on the floor, tuna left unrefrigerated, and workers rinsing knives with tap water between raw and cooked items. These aren't isolated incidents. They're the byproduct of a chain built on razor-thin margins. When inflation drives up import prices and labor costs, shortcuts become policy. Refrigerators that fail aren't replaced. They're unplugged overnight to save energy. Former employees have quietly shared what customers never see. Leftover rolls scraped into bowls mixed with chili oil and mayo, then resold as spicy tuna specials. Rice from the previous day reheated in the microwave until it clumps, then pressed into new molds. Cheap sesame oil masking the stale scent of oxidized fish. And still, customers line up because the menu looks familiar and the prices feel safe. But safety in food, like safety in finance, isn't about what you see, it's about what's hidden. The fish itself tells the real story. Imported in bulk from Vietnam or Indonesia, much of it is pangasius, a bottom-feeding catfish dyed to resemble snapper. Even the seaweed comes pre-seasoned from mass factories coated in cheap soybean oil. It's a food economy collapsing in plain sight. Every cost cut, every corner shaved, every label falsified to keep the illusion of abundance alive. Sushi Stop's danger isn't a single rotten fish, it's systemic rot disguised as convenience. When the economy strains, these operations don't improve. They metastasize. They survive by recycling yesterday into today. And every bite carries the fatigue of that deception. Old protein dressed as new pleasure. If a restaurant's price looks impossible, it's because something vital has already been subtracted. Freshness, cleanliness, or truth. Don't trade your health for a bargain. In collapse, cheap food is never cheap. It's just deferred damage waiting quietly behind a discount roll. Number 3. Poke or sushi hybrid chains. The rise of the poke bowl was supposed to represent health, a clean, modern fusion of sushi simplicity and fresh produce. But in reality, it became the next frontier of quiet contamination. Chains like Poke Bar, Pokeworks, and Poke Bros built their empires on a lie. That raw fish could be treated like salad toppings, scooped from bins and left out for hours without consequence. Behind the pastel branding and minimalist logos lies an industrial problem that's only getting worse. The premise is seductive. Build your own bowl, they say, as customers glide past trays of tuna, salmon, and crab mix. But each tray tells a story of heat, exposure, and exhaustion. FDA warnings have long stated that tuna left above 41 degrees Fahrenheit for over 2 hours enters the bacterial danger zone. Yet inspection records across Nevada, Illinois, and California show these chains repeatedly failing temperature checks. A Las Vegas Poke Bar location was cited in 2022 for storing raw tuna at 56 degrees Fahrenheit. In Hawaii, where the dish originated, a single distributor error once triggered a Vibrio vulnificus outbreak linked to imported fish held too long at room temperature. The infection rate was fatal, and it's not just bacteria, it's the illusion of freshness. Corporate marketing hides the fact that the majority of poke-grade tuna comes frozen from Southeast Asia, often treated with carbon monoxide to preserve its red color. The same chemical process used on supermarket sushi gives it that deceptive cherry tint. The color remains perfect while the cells beneath decay. Customers can't see the danger. They just see brightness. Employees describe the grind of unending prep cycles. Fish cubes washed, reused, repackaged, gloves changed rarely, cutting boards rinsed under lukewarm water, and containers stacked high overnight. These aren't isolated moments of negligence, they're economic inevitabilities. Inflation squeezes rent and import costs, so every corner becomes negotiable. Even the sauces, teriyaki, spicy mayo, sesame, are loaded with cheap soybean oil, a rancid carrier that masks off flavors and cuts costs. The tragedy is that poke chains sell aspiration, beach health, clean energy, simplicity. In truth, they reflect collapse, globalized sourcing, gig workers, and fast-moving spoilage. It's sushi without heritage, safety without oversight, and health without substance. Every fresh scoop is another mile of frozen transport, another step away from food integrity. If you want raw fish that won't betray you, it can't come from a buffet line under heat lamps and corporate slogans. Health doesn't come pre-cubed in plastic bins. The real cost of convenience is invisible until the symptoms start. Number 4. Benihana. Once Benihana symbolized spectacle and precision, a place where fire met finesse and families gathered around steel tables to witness performance as much as taste. But the flash of knives and bursts of flame have become camouflage for a deeper decay. The chain that built its empire on showmanship now survives on nostalgia and cost-cutting, hiding its cracks behind onion volcanoes and applause. Walk through the doors today, and you'll still hear the sizzle, smell the butter, and see the tricks. But what you won't see is the quiet erosion of quality beneath the performance. Former employees describe the shift with weary eyes. Meat once hand-cut by chefs is now pre-portioned, vacuum-sealed, and trucked in by corporate suppliers. The seafood, once flown in fresh, is often thawed days in advance, brushed with soy glaze to disguise age. Behind the stainless counters, there are stories of shrimp stored too long in lukewarm coolers and salmon fillets brushed with oil to revive their gloss. It's a ritual now. Disguise decay, perform cleanliness, and hope the audience never looks too closely. The illusion works because Benihana sells memory, not food. Customers return for the sense of occasion, the brief escape from daily stress. But beneath the nostalgia lies the kind of industrial compromise that defines a collapsing food economy. In a world of rising energy prices and thinning margins, refrigeration becomes a gamble, labor gets cheaper, and supply chains stretch thin. Each substitution, a lower-grade soy, a cheaper oil, a frozen steak, feels small in isolation. But together, they hollow out the brand's original promise. Inspections have echoed the internal rot. A 2021 Florida report cited mold near prep sinks, rodent droppings behind freezers, and seafood stored above unsafe temperatures. One Las Vegas outlet was caught refreezing fish multiple times to extend shelf life, a silent confession of desperation. You can't see these failures from the dining room. The stage lights drown them out. The show goes on, the laughter continues, and no one notices the taste that used to linger now fades too fast. Benihana's story is not just a restaurant's decline, it's the story of every legacy brand trying to survive collapse through illusion. The fire still dances, but the flame no longer purifies. It distracts. When a system built on craftsmanship trades integrity for efficiency, what remains is theater, shiny, loud, and empty. The knives still flash, but the trust has already dulled. Number 5. Kabuki Japanese Restaurant. At first glance, Kabuki Japanese Restaurant still looks refined. Muted red interiors, bamboo accents, and menus boasting premium cuts and authentic taste. But walk into one of its aging franchises and the illusion cracks quickly. The air feels heavy with oil, the once crisp service dulled by exhaustion. What was once a rising chain known for modern Japanese dining has become a mirror of economic fatigue, a business running on fumes and faded branding. The sushi bar gleams, but what sits behind it tells a different story. Reheated rice, thawed fish, and empty pride. Employees across California and Arizona have spoken quietly of the same slow unraveling. Shrinking budgets have turned daily deliveries into weekly ones. Fish now arrives in bulk, vacuum-sealed, weeks old by the time it's served. The delicate balance between freshness and danger has been replaced with convenience and denial. When asked how they maintain standards, one former chef replied, "We just make it look good." That phrase, "make it look good," is the chain's unofficial motto now. The wasabi burns hotter. The lights shine brighter, the music plays louder, all to cover the silence of declining quality. County inspection reports confirm what diners suspect, but rarely see. Improper fish storage, cross-contamination between raw and cooked items, and unlabeled sauces of unknown origin. One Las Vegas Kabuki location was written up for storing tuna at 50 degrees Fahrenheit and reusing old rice for rolls the next day. Managers deflect blame onto suppliers, claiming post-pandemic logistics make fresh an impossible promise. But the truth is simpler. The brand grew faster than it could sustain, and now it's coasting on appearance, not integrity. Economically, Kabuki sits in a dangerous middle ground, too expensive for fast food, too careless for fine dining. That tension breeds shortcuts. Mid-tier chains like this are the first casualties when the market tightens. Electricity costs rise, staff turnover accelerates, and oversight dissolves. The visual cues of quality remain, the wooden chopsticks, the ceramic plates, but underneath it's all processed mimicry. You can't fake freshness forever. The tragedy isn't that Kabuki serves bad food, it's that it still pretends to serve good food. The confidence, the plating, the ambiance, all built to lull you into forgetting the deeper decay. When a restaurant begins to substitute image for ethics, it stops being a kitchen and becomes a mask. Beneath Kabuki's red logo lies the irony of its name, a theatrical term for performance. And performance is exactly what remained number 6, Airi Sushi. Airi Sushi was once the chain that made sushi feel alive. Music, color, youth, and energy. It was where sushi met nightlife, a place to laugh over rolls and cocktails under pink neon lights. But the louder the music grew, the quieter the truth became. When Benihana acquired RA Sushi, it promised consistency and corporate polish. What it delivered was a sterilized brand with fading quality and rising risk. The result is a menu that looks vibrant on paper, but hides the erosion that comes when artistry is replaced by accounting. Behind the bar, you can see the shift. Rolls once made to order now arrive from pre-packed prep stations, the fish already sliced in bulk hours earlier. Rice sits in tubs, reheated and stiff. Former employees describe coolers that barely hold temperature and seafood labeled days past due. Just smell it, one prep cook admitted. If it's not bad, we use it. That's the kind of triage thinking born from corporate cost-cutting. The dining room might pulse with energy, but the kitchen hums with quiet resignation. Local health reports echo what insiders whisper. In Scottsdale, inspectors flagged improper thawing and expired sauces in storage. In Chicago, a walk-in cooler was recorded at 49 degrees Fahrenheit, nearly 10 degrees above safety limits. And still, management insists on serving high-volume raw fish plates through lunch rushes without proper turnover. In the face of inflation and supply delays, RA Sushi's survival strategy has become one of substitution. Lower-grade tuna for ahi, farmed salmon for wild, artificial crab in place of snow crab. The deception is subtle but steady, like color fading under a spotlight. RA's problem isn't unique, it's systemic. Corporate chains in decline always try to disguise entropy with energy. Music replaces mastery, decor replaces discipline, and marketing replaces truth. The bright pink menus and fusion cocktails are there to distract from the fatigue of a kitchen that can no longer afford excellence. Customers leave believing they've experienced something modern, when in fact they've eaten something outdated. Flash over freshness, volume over virtue. Every failing empire still sparkles before collapse. RA Sushi is no different. It thrives on motion and noise, but every dollar cut from quality widens the gap between what it sells and what it once stood for. Sushi was meant to be quiet, deliberate, intimate. At RA, it's just another performance. Bright lights flickering over cold fish and colder intent. Number 7. Sushiro. In Japan, Sushiro built its empire on precision, robotic efficiency, clean lines, and a promise of technological purity. But success breeds complacency, and what began as a marvel of automation has become a monument to overconfidence. The same conveyor belts that once symbolized innovation now carry quiet contamination around the world. From Tokyo to Toronto, from Osaka to Los Angeles, Sushiro's global expansion has spread not excellence, but exhaustion. The cracks aren't cultural, they're systemic. Automation scaled too far stops serving freshness and starts serving decay. Earlier this year, Japan's Ministry of Health recorded one of Sushiro's largest scandals, a viral sushi terrorism video showing a teen licking soy bottles and touching fish plates before they reached other customers. The footage triggered nationwide outrage, but the real horror wasn't the prank. It was what it revealed. Conveyor systems that were never sanitized properly, food sitting exposed for long stretches, and no reliable method to trace or discard contaminated dishes. The technology that replaced trust had no defense against human failure. Inside Western franchises, inspectors have reported cross-contamination, improper temperature control, and reuse of expired ingredients. In one California location, tuna stored at 54 degrees Fahrenheit was served until closing. Employees described corporate quotas so tight that old fish was brushed with soy glaze and recirculated on the belt for hours. Customers see precision. Staff see panic. Every rotation hides a small gamble with bacteria, oxidation, and reputation. Even more insidious is Sushiro's use of treated fish, preserved with carbon monoxide to maintain its color. This gas doesn't make food safer, it just keeps it looking fresh while it rots beneath the surface. Add in industrial vinegar, sugar syrups, and imitation crab from mass Chinese suppliers, and the sushi becomes something closer to processed food than seafood. It's the illusion of craft without the conscience. The deeper failure isn't hygiene, it's hubris. Sushiro believed machines could replace masters and algorithms could manage instinct. But food isn't just about efficiency, it's about presence. The automation that made Sushiro rich also made it fragile. When crisis strikes, energy shortages, supply breakdowns, economic collapse, chains like this crumble first. Their fish depends on logistics, not location. When the conveyor stops, the illusion ends. You can't mechanize trust, and you can't automate integrity. Sushiro taught the world that sushi could be industrial. Now it's teaching us what happens when industry forgets its limits. The future it promised has arrived, and it's colder, cheaper, and far less human than anyone imagined. Number 8. Kona Grill. Kona Grill sells the dream of balance. American comfort meets Japanese precision, all wrapped in glass and steel. It's the kind of restaurant where executives meet for lunch and couples celebrate anniversaries under blue neon light. But behind the marble bar and the carefully curated playlists lies a quiet rot. When a brand tries to be everything, it eventually becomes nothing. Kona Grill's collapse wasn't sudden. It was slow, like fish left too long on ice. The chain's financial fall began years ago. Bankruptcy in 2019 exposed a pattern of overexpansion, reckless cost-cutting, and crumbling standards. New ownership promised a revival, but that revival meant trimming quality to protect margins. Imported fish replaced domestic suppliers. Chefs were trained not to craft, but to reheat. Fresh tuna and salmon gave way to vacuum-sealed imports, thawed in plastic tubs. When customers see the delicate glisten of sashimi under bar lighting, they're seeing a simulation of freshness, a performance, not a product. Health inspections from Texas to Illinois have documented dirty prep areas, temperature violations, and expired sauces. In one 2022 report, inspectors found sushi rice held at 100 degrees Fahrenheit without acidification, a setup ripe for bacterial growth. Former staff revealed even more disturbing habits, reusing raw fish trimmings and rolls, mixing sauces from multiple days, and storing seafood directly beside raw chicken. When complaints reached management, the response was always the same: make it look fresh. That phrase is the mantra of collapse. Kona Grill's aesthetic sophistication hides industrial shortcuts. The decor distracts, the sleek bar, the open kitchen, the gleaming glass walls, all designed to project transparency while concealing decay. It's a metaphor for the modern economy itself, a fragile structure polished until the rot beneath glows. The chain's marketing speaks of fresh innovation, but innovation now means pre-mixed sauces in plastic bags, mass frozen imports, and reheated imitation crab formed into precise, symmetrical rolls. There's tragedy in the contrast. Kona Grill once represented ambition, a fusion of West and East. Now it represents exhaustion, a brand too tired to rebuild, too afraid to admit the truth. Customers order dragon rolls and miso salmon, unaware that the dragon has long since died, and the miso is powdered from a factory in Guangdong. When collapse comes, it won't be loud. It will happen under the hum of soft jazz and the glint of LED reflections off a cracked countertop. The end of Kona Grill won't taste like failure. It will taste like nothing. Number 9. Nobu. Luxury masks decay more elegantly, but decay nonetheless. Nobu, the crown jewel of global sushi prestige, has built its empire on celebrity endorsements, marble interiors, and the illusion of purity. Its name conjures refinement, handcrafted rolls, elite clientele, and a menu whispered about like sacred scripture. Yet beneath that prestige lies a quiet betrayal. Nobu no longer represents craftsmanship. It represents control. And control in this economy means compromise disguised as excellence. The myth of Nobu begins with perfection. Fish flown in from Tokyo's Tsukiji market, chefs trained under strict discipline, and a culture obsessed with precision. But scale erases purity. There are now more than 50 Nobu locations worldwide, from Malibu to Dubai, each promising the same quality as Tokyo. That claim is impossible. A Michelin-level experience cannot be cloned across continents without industrialization. Fish shipments cross time zones, thaw cycles multiply, and freshness fades into logistics. In 2019, food safety audits in London and Las Vegas quietly cited Nobu kitchens for improper labeling and storage temperatures exceeding 47 degrees Fahrenheit. Margins that might seem small, but in raw fish, That's the space where bacteria bloom. Insiders describe quiet disillusionment. One chef from the New York location confessed that the yellowtail wasn't always from Japan, it came from Mexico or California, relabeled for consistency. Another mentioned using carbon monoxide treated tuna, the same cosmetic preservation method found in low-end chains. The brand demands color, he said, even if the taste is gone. It's not negligence, it's economics. When your brand is built on image, you protect the illusion at all costs. The psychological power of Nobu is that it convinces the wealthy they're immune to decay. The marble walls, the silent service, the wine lists, all distractions from the fact that food safety isn't democratic. Parasites don't check bank balances. In 2021, Japan's Consumer Affairs Agency warned about mercury levels in high-grade bluefin, the same species prized on Nobu's menu. Yet the chain continues to serve it without transparent advisories. The aura of exclusivity becomes its own anesthetic. The higher the price, the less people question what they're swallowing. Nobu is the perfect metaphor for the collapsing luxury economy, a facade polished until it blinds. The sushi tastes delicate, but the system beneath it rots. Overfished seas, exploited workers, unsustainable shipping, and quiet contamination wrapped in gold foil. When collapse comes, Nobu's fall will be silent. Not because no one saw it, but because everyone was too busy admiring the reflection on the surface. Every empire of illusion ends the same way, with silence. The conveyor belts stop, the neon fades, and the smell of vinegar and steel turns sour. From Sushi to Nobu, the story doesn't change. Each chain traded truth for tempo, craft for convenience, and purity for profit. Sushi was once the discipline of patience. Now it's the theater of decay. When the system buckles under cost, scarcity, or crisis, these brands won't feed you, they'll fail you. Learn before you're forced to. Real safety doesn't come from menus or price tags. It comes from awareness, vigilance, and walking away before the collapse.